What's up, guys? It's Major Bratton, and I'm bringing you my very first online tutorial of, or not tutorial, online battle for Napoleon Total War, and it is going to be between the Prussians and the British. And so we'll just go ahead and put it in slow-mo while I go through, and I'm going to start off with the army comps. And so basically what you're going to see right here at the very beginning is both armies, myself and my Prussian opponent, trying to take control of the little village right here in the center on the map, pyramids, that gives you pretty much a strategic advantage. So we'll start first with the British. We have 4 units of Lightfoot, which is just the British standard skirmishing unit. I have a pretty strong infantry force, and this is really what I put my money on. I have 6 units of Highland foot who are just excellent in melee combat, and I've got 1 unit of foot guards, which is just the elite regular English infantry, and then I've got even more Scottish. I've got the 1 unit of 42nd Foot, the Black Watch. And finally, I have the Coldstream Guards, my very best infantry. I've also got a general staff in the very back. So very early on in the battle, I charged the village, but I realized that the Prussians were going to get there first, which I knew would be disastrous, because I would have to launch a frontal assault or try to take them off the high ground. But I pulled out to avoid losing unnecessary troop amounts. So to start off with the Prussians, they have 1 unit of life hussars, and they have, let's see, 1 unit of lancers, and that plus I think their general staff makes up their cavalry force. They have, let's see, 4 units of foot guards, so that is their best infantry. Very deadly. They have several units of this Silesian Schutzen. Probably murdered their pronunciation, but they've got it, and that's their skirmishing unit. That'll probably go head-to-head with my light foot. They also have 4 units of musketeers, which is just the standard Prussian line infantry, which would be very important to holding this village. They also have, and this is a huge factor in this battle because I did not bring artillery, and they're going to get the defensive position, and they've got a 6-pounder horse artillery, which is moving quickly to get set up in the village, and they've got a 7-pound horse. They've got the 7-pound howitzer. So seeing as I wasn't going to be able, and we'll go back to normal speed here, seeing as I wasn't going to be able to take this town, I realized that I was going to have to defend myself from the artillery, because I knew if I just sat here in this formation like this, they would tear me up. So I'm going to move my infantry into just kind of a long line behind this ridge. And it's not very pretty, but it is going to save me a lot of lives. And the battle really takes off on this flank with my light dragoons challenging his life hussars, and Prussia just sets up, begins to set up on this ridge like I figured he would. He's putting his musketeers are running to the left flank. They're winded, and I'm sure the little villagers here in this town are probably wondering what the hell's going on. They bought this house just to have a nice view of the pyramids and these beautiful mountains in the back, and now the damn British and Prussians are somehow coming in. So we're moving in right here, and we've got, let's see, oh, there's some cannonballs coming in immediately. Oh my gosh, that's what I was afraid of in this battle. Immediately takes out 6 of my light dragoons. See, these units are unharmed, but I think that was, yep, they've got this this 6-pound artillery firing on my guys. Oh my gosh, that is awful. Yeah, he just got another big hit. And I'm just trying to maneuver my troops over here and I'm just taking casualties and not even noticing it. All the while the Prussians are digging in. Okay, so finally I noticed that I was being shelled, and I pulled my dragoons out of the way, and there's even more cannonballs coming in because it was just an awful spot to be in. I mean, look at these guys; they're already wavering. I mean, they've got 35 guys and they're wavering. Jeez, wasn't even worth spending money on. It looks like they're starting to buck up a little bit. Well, you can see that there's a time limit on this battle of an hour, so I knew that in order to win, I would have to make an assault on this village eventually. I was just, at this point in the battle, I was just kind of just trying to figure out how I wanted to go about it, and I thought maybe if I could distract him over here, I would buy a little time, but as you can see, he's not going to move. Well, I don't know what he's doing with these musketeers, but you can see that his lights are dug in right here. He's got a intimidating force of musketeers and foot guards on this, with even, and his howitzers aren't even in position yet, with some foot guard in reserve. So I knew it was going to be extremely tough to do what I wanted to do. Looks like he put his artillery back on. I wonder what his goal was here. I guess he's going to move them to a more strategic part of the battlefield. You can see over here that I'm starting to move my light dragoons back, and we'll fast forward here because there's just I'm just kind of deciding what to do, and I guess I'm just forming these guys out to keep them from taking a shelling. And I guess we just kind of stared each other down at this point in the battle. I guess I thought maybe I could get him to move, but then I realized when he unlimbered this 6-pounder artillery and started firing, you see I start moving my troops up. And he moves his troops up as well. I thought that was a mistake by him, but it is something he did. I guess he saw that I was going to make a full-on assault on his front. Where's my artillery? Yeah, I've got my artillery kind of down here by this boat that used to be in this pond, I guess. We're in the oasis, the former oasis. And this is, I guess that describes what this town used to be, a former oasis. But we're about to destroy it, thanks to the British army. Really, the Scottish army. I brought such a Scottish force. I guess that the Scots wanted to go see the desert, wanted to see the pyramids. So up here on this flank, I've put my elite infantry, the Coldstream Guard, and the 42nd Black Watch, and also a Highland foot, which is the bulk of my infantry. And I'm starting to move up my light foot, and yeah, his howitzers are coming down, which is awful, but I was glad, I remember at this point, and you know, I did this battle a while ago, I was glad that he was using his howitzers on these lights and not on my infantry, because those howitzers can be deadly. Oh, yep. So he's getting the first volleys off with his Schutzen right here. And at this point, yeah, I mean, at this point these guys were shaking. I just didn't think that I was going to be able to take this hill. They had everything. They had the howitzers going. They had the infantry combined with the lights. I just thought this would be impossible. But nevertheless, I sent my light foot into battle, and they're hopping up and down on the ground, and began to engage with the Schutzen, which I focused the fire down on, and we were able to reduce that unit fairly quickly. But this musketeer unit's going to do some real damage. But I moved up my line infantry to support these guys from the back, and he did the same. But almost immediately, he pulls out this Schutzen unit, and oh my gosh, look at that howitzer. But we were really firing, and it was getting pretty intense at this point. My Coldstream Guards were sitting back there taking unnecessary casualties from his skirmishers, and immediately he started kind of pulling back, which I thought was a mistake. See, these guys are very tired. Running across the desert like that is very difficult, strenuous. But Sorry, guys, I had to make kind of lost connection there. I made a daring move with my cavalry and went straight after his lights. I wanted to break and disrupt his formation. He did form square right here with his foot guards, and I got my light dragoons stuck in combat, which was very deadly. But this light dragoons right unit, if you just watch it, it just keeps going and just keeps going, and we just tear up this unit of lights right here, and they just chase them down. It was just, this unit really just did a great job. And I pulled out the other light dragoons, and they did rout this light dragoons, but I was pretty satisfied because look, I mean, they're still taking out these skirmishers. I thought that was a big win because, as you can see, I'm starting to win this flank. Even though I've lost a lot of troops, I lost this light foot. He's thinning, and he's having to send up his reserves. I mean, we just routed another musketeers unit thanks to my elite infantry. And look at this. I mean, they crash right into the backs and just get these guys to shatter. And I mean, this light dragoons unit right here just wreaked havoc all over his lines before finally breaking. But that light dragoons is definitely a brave unit, game-changing. I didn't think it was going so well. And look at this. We've routed the musketeers on their right flank, and their defense, at least the first line, is beginning to crumble, which is just incredible. But they still have these two healthy. They have a healthy unit of foot guards, a healthy regiment of musketeers, and they just moved up some reserve foot guards into the front lines. So even though I shattered his front line, he moved his reserves, and he still has a very, very formidable line for me to get by. But we're starting to pick off this artillery, which he did not move away, and that was fortunate. But right here, I move up my my elite line here to start taking these guys on. As you can see, he's dying. Too bad. Sad. And I moved what's left of my cavalry that so nobly sacrificed to counter these life hussars, which I knew if those were allowed to strike the backs of my own men, it could be deadly. Oh, look at that canister shot. He started to fire a canister shot into my men, which can be absolutely deadly, but I was able to rout them in time to keep myself from losing just too many men. So it's really heating up in the center where he, oh man, I charged, it looks like I charged these foot guards to no avail. He broke both my units of cavalry, which was too bad. But it's really heating up in the center here where he really does have a distinct advantage. But I'm moving my Highland foot aggressively on his right flank. So you can see here the foot guards have just taken a beating, but they're still fighting. Nope, they just broke. But they fought very well. I got my money's worth out of that unit, fighting all the way down to 30. As you see here, as I'm flanking on his right, he's flanking on my left. And I kind of took a gamble, I remember. I said I want this Highland foot to just sit there and absorb ammo. And I was hoping that they could get enough shots off to rout this unit. But he used his general ability, and they easily broke that Highland foot. And I started to get a little bit concerned about the status of my center because now it was starting to fall apart. And he still had this foot guards right here as I was forming up, still forming up, and these guys were just taking casualties the whole time. But the Highland foot was able to get in position, and we seriously outnumbered these foot guards. But the main battle was still in the middle, and I was still betting that hopefully we could rout this unit before, and it was just not going my way. He was firing at all artillery, and they broke that Coldstream Guard unit, which is a huge blow because the Coldstream Guard is such an elite unit. And I just kind of left my center to hang out to dry. It was a poor gamble on my part, and I ended up getting surrounded and letting my men get cut down. But the Black Watch wavered, and I do believe they end up routing in the end. But basically the battle took new lines. Instead of him defending the front of the village. I'm now attacking from this angle, and he brought his life hussars over, and I put my men into square formation. But I was starting to rout this foot guards unit, which was a very important unit for him. And as you can see right here, he charges in with his life guard, but I put my men in square just in time, and we just absolutely slaughter this very expensive unit of life hussars. Such a waste, but huge victory for me, because he really doesn't have the troops to be losing like that anymore. And as you can see, some of the units that he routed when he flanked me in the center start to come back. So the Highland foot comes back, which is huge for me, because now again I can flank him with this Coldstream Guard and Highland foot, because I was realizing at this point that these Highland foot were going to need, I guess that wasn't Highland foot, yeah, it was Highland foot, we're going to need help, because this musketeer unit and foot guards. But what I was really worried about was this right here. He can lay down some brutal canister shot, and look, he just puts another hole in my line with round shot. And I have my light foot still fighting, and at this point he begins to withdraw. He sees that I'm coming back to flank him with these guys who summon the courage to return to the fight. And right here I start firing on his general. I was trying to get a kill, see if I could get a rout. But at this point, the battle was effectively coming to a close. He was setting up to make his last stand, but I was still very worried about some last-minute canister shots that could cause a chain rout, and that's happened to me before. So I was really worried about it, because I knew that this foot guard unit could hold out for a good while. And with these musketeers and his general still on the battlefield, I was worried about it. But I started running this Highland foot unit, and yep, there goes the canister shot right there. It's exactly what I was worried about. My Highland foot crashes into his skirmishers. I was going to try to clean them up, and I was able to. Oh, look at that. Just brutal. Just losing more men, concentrating on my guard. And it looks like he's going to be able to rout this Highland foot that so nobly took out that. But yeah, you can see it's starting to crumble. He's losing what he has. What's left of his troops, he's losing. And yeah, but look at this. He's just continuing to rack up kills with that canister shot as we march upon him to conquer the village and conquer Egypt for the crown. And he's going to get off his last shots here as the Highland foot close in and in the game and in the battle for the victory for the British Empire. And you see the Prussian general has elected to fight nobly and die nobly for the... See, that's his name, Laurent 7159. Laurent was a great opponent. What you can't see is we were chatting and really enjoying each other and enjoying this great battle. But we can fast forward here. This thing's over. Oh, I lost my general. Yes, I remember I charged my general in stupidly. Wasn't thinking about it. I charged at the very last seconds of the battle. I charged my general in over those stakes, and he died. Here's the statistics. I did outnumber him, and everything was pretty much even. What it came down to is I just chose to bring. This is one of the few times that not bringing artillery actually helped me. He wasn't able to use his artillery in an effective manner, and I was able to defeat him just through sheer numbers, because we have an even number of enemy killed, even number of losses. I guess just the morale and the numbers of the Scots carried the day for me. Let's see who got the most kills. No surprise, Coldstream Guard got quite a few. Highland foot. This one light dragoons did fairly well. Look at this. These guys just got slaughtered. 2-0-0. So my cavalry, I didn't effectively use my cavalry. except for that one light dragoons unit that did tear up all those skirmishers. Really, it was the Coldstream Guard that did everything so well for us. And anyways, thank you for watching my very first battle. If you want to see more like this, please like and subscribe and leave a comment with any criticisms that you might have so I can improve in the future. Thank you very, very much. And, well, good night.